Ben Goreski.
Matt Cooke. Here we go, brother.
Let's do this.
Stoked to be here with you, man.
Likewise.
Arka podcast. So let's start with sort of just a lightning round of who you are, what you do, what you're doing here, and what you're doing in Arka. So I would say the first piece would be, you're a co-director of Arka. Let's get to that in a moment. I'll ask you a more clear question about that. But in general, if I was to ask you, who are you and what do you do? What would you say?
Good question. Man, that's a complicated question to answer. I wear a lot of hats, but if I was to give you the elevator pitch, it would be I'm a teacher. I teach high school kids how to cook. And beyond that, my passion is with the Arka Brotherhood and men's work, where I lead this organization with you. And yeah, those are the two biggest things in my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to dig into that in this episode, and to get more on your background and hear about what matters to you in each of those categories, and in teaching and in Arka. You're also, on top of being co-director of Arka, you're also an Arka captain, and you've been an Arka member for a number of years. So maybe you could fill me in or fill in the listeners on, how long you've been in Arka and what squad you're in and that kind of thing.
The journey all began in 2017. I had just graduated Teachers College, and there was this music festival going on in Oregon that was also a celebration of an eclipse. It was actually a culmination of, I think, 7 music festivals coming together to organize one festival as a one-off for the eclipse. I didn't know you at the time, but met you at the festival. And it was after meeting you and your entourage that you invited me to join this organization called the Samurai Brotherhood.
Yeah.
And it was a men's group. At the time, I had never heard of men's work, didn't know the organization, and didn't really know why I would join or should join. But I think what kind of stuck in my mind was just getting to meet you men, and you're just cool guys. And I was like, oh, they're doing this thing. I have this invitation. I think my initial response is like, yeah, I want to join your group. Mm-hmm. And there was no room. You guys were full. And so I think it was a month or 2 or 3 until after the festival that I got another message saying, hey, we now have room in a group. And it was Steve's group, who I had met with you.
Steve Parr.
Yes. And so intuitively, I was just like, oh, yeah, sign me up. Just like, yes. Not really knowing what I was getting into at all. My life kind of had conspired in a sense that my first meeting was already scheduled. I'd already said yes to joining. And it happened to be that the night before my first meeting, I ended up ending a relationship with a partner who I'd been in relationship with for, I think, 3 years. And so I was kind of in it was fresh. Yeah. And so my very first meeting was very raw. And I guess the rest is history. There's obviously a lot more in there, but I feel like the next days, weeks, months in that first group, it was really just like sitting and witnessing what men's work was. At first, I had all sorts of judgments of the other men, of what they were sharing or how they were presenting themselves or what they were working through. But eventually I got to a place of literally just from listening to them. I actually didn't share too much of substance, but there was a moment where I don't even remember who was sharing, but it was like, oh, I see myself in that man. There's something that I'm gaining from being here. I want to show up. I want to come back. And then it was a journey of kind of opening up about myself. And that really kick things off.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, it was fast moving, and I just basically leaned in fully and got asked to, at first, become a lieutenant, to Steve when he was starting a new group, and then shortly after, captain. So that was the journey to hear more.
And
or
then
less.
you became captain of Eagle Squad. You left with Steve from Elephant. You guys split off eventually to create another squad, and because we needed another squad in the Brotherhood, and Steve was the captain initially, right? And you were his lieutenant?
Yes. Yeah.
And then eventually you took over as Steve stepped into other roles in the Brotherhood.
Steve went on a trip to Mexico, and I think he framed it. He's like, yeah, I'll be gone for a month or two, and you can lead while I'm gone.
Yeah.
He didn't come back. And then I think it was, I want to say 6 months since he'd left. So I'd been leading for 6 months without really knowing I was going to be leading for 6 months. And then he came back to Vancouver. He's like, oh, I guess I shouldn't come back and join the group. Like, you're leading it. You don't need to shut up.
Well, you know what happened? You know what happened?
No.
He went to Mexico with me. And at that time, you know, it was going to be like a 3-month away. And I was like, oh, I'm going to miss my squad. And and I had been in a business mastermind thing on Zoom, and it was working pretty well at the time. And I was like, maybe we could run a Brotherhood squad on Zoom. And nobody had done that yet. Nobody in our organization had done that yet. And so I was like, that way I could like kind of get my fill, even though I'm leading the group, I'd get that medicine of Brotherhood while I'm away. And that keeps me healthy. It keeps me strong and grounded. And so that's what we did while we were away. And Steve joined that. Like, he just kind of sat beside me, or like got on his own computer and stayed in that squad for a couple months. And then we had demand for a second Ronin squad. We called them Ronin squads. And he started his own. So then he was running his Ronin squad, probably almost by the time he came back to Vancouver. And so he's busy. Anyhow, there's probably some crossover there, but yeah. So then you stepped into leadership in Eagle. And
then I stepped into leadership, and that was a journey in and of itself. I think at first, it actually helped that I didn't think I was assuming the captain role. I was just supporting while Steve was gone. Because as soon as it was my role and he said, oh, okay, no, you're captain, and I'll just rejoin as a regular member. Well, then all of a sudden, like, it felt like there was more pressure and a bit of like imposter syndrome kicked in, where it's like, oh, there are these some much older men in our group than me, some, how I perceive, like, very successful men. I was like, who am I to be leading this? Exactly. Am I skilled enough to lead this group of men? And that was a transformation for me that I think really kickstarted my confidence in leadership and getting to know a piece of myself that really enjoys being in service to a group, other men, something meaningful. But also learning to trust and recognize the value that is just inherent within me, and I don't need to necessarily be a certain way. Yeah. So that was kind of my journey into leadership and feeling comfortable in that seat.
Yeah. I want to touch more on leadership, just to rewind a little bit to the point where we first met each other at the Eclipse Festival. There was a mutual admiration going on there, I think.
Yeah.
Where, I think you may have come to, we did some breath work down there, but I remember first seeing you unpack your SUV. And when you opened the back door of that thing, I was like, that is the most intricately packed vehicle I've ever seen. And you started pulling out like a large chef stove that was like really, really dope. And a bunch of gear that I was like, oh, this guy's got great gear. He knows how to pack. Like, he's super organized. He's really got his shit together. And yeah, there was just some of these elements of your character, stability, trustability, that were shining through like pretty early on. And so the reason you received that invite was because me and Steve were like, we want this guy around more, you know, like you wanted to be around us, but we wanted you around us too. We wanted you in our groups and in our midst so we could spend more time with you. So it's actually pretty cool for me sitting here with you at this moment, you know, so many years later, doing what we're doing. I also just wanted to reflect on this theme that you mentioned that comes up for me around when you witness another guy's process and how that like flips light bulbs on for you, and how it like I sort of envision sometimes in those moments where something big is happening for a guy, like even, you know, this image behind you here in the studio where, you know, this man, this was a retreat that I ran with Nick, the first Ronin retreat, actually. All those guys came from the online groups and we met up in person. We did this retreat. This guy's having this big experience. All those guys in that photo will never forget that moment where, you know, they connected so deeply to what was going on with this guy about his father. You know, we're going to dig into father stuff a lot on this show. And that's the Brotherhood, sort of the tendrils of the Brotherhood having a deep impact on us, you know? So like, we don't come in just to like do our own inner work and know thyself. I mean, maybe that's our intention, but what ends up happening is something much deeper, much bigger, much more impactful than we had imagined. What we were expecting. So, and the last piece, then there was another one there, another theme, I think that comes up a lot in leadership circles. And I think that runs in men's heads when they're stepping up or when they're all of a sudden in a chair where they're leading. Yeah. And it's, who am I to lead? Yeah. You know, right now in Arka, we've got 80 some captains and probably 120 lieutenants, all of whom have some version of this kind of imposter syndrome that you're talking about was there for you early on. What do you say to those guys to answer the question of who am I to lead?
I mean, ultimately it comes down to trusting yourself. And it's not like a checklist of things to do or a certain way you need to be. I think, there's better ways of doing things and worse ways of doing things generally, but every leader is different. Every leader has their own strengths. Every leader has their weaknesses. But what ultimately comes down is, do you trust yourself? And do you trust yourself enough to lead these men? And if the answer to that is yes, then you'll learn through experience. So I'd say that's the second most important thing, is reps. Just like do it often. And you will make mistakes. You'll mess up. You will have to confront those shortcomings that you have in leadership. Like, they will come to the forefront fast, especially with men or quality men. They'll call you out on those things. And so, the opportunities are ripe to address them with humility if you're willing. And so after a period of time, you not only don't feel like an imposter, but you feel like you know yourself as a leader, you know your weaknesses, you've accepted your weaknesses, you receive feedback from the men you're leading, you trust yourself, and you feel the trust of the group as well. And then once you get to that place, then I'd say you actually really start to flourish. That's kind of the stage more where you find the depths of the style of your leadership, and you get creative, you bring in new things.
Yeah, listening to your answer, I was like, okay, so what's the answer behind his answer? You know, I was trying to like really try to hear what you're saying. And, you know, so we can riff on this together, but I feel like your answer was just go. Yeah. Just do it. Yeah. You know, like, who am I to lead? Because like, because you're there and the men need you. And why not? Why not you? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as an initial step, the willingness and courage to lead is step one.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that, you have no business being a leader. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to be the one that grasps it. In fact, I mean, I very much wasn't that. You can be tapped or asked to lead. So it's not like you have to seek it out, although you can. Mm-hmm. It's very much, do it. Do the thing. Mm-hmm. You'll learn pretty quick too if you're not meant for it. Like there'll be friction, or you won't feel like you can get to a place where you trust yourself. Mm-hmm. That does happen. Like I think anyone can be a leader. I don't think everyone necessarily gets there.
Mm-hmm. Not everyone's ready.
No, and
sometimes you want to be a leader before you're ready.
Absolutely.
In a particular context.
I also think some people are better followers than they are leaders.
Right.
And that's okay. In fact, that's like sought after in some situations. You don't want everyone fighting for the microphone. You don't want everyone trying to control the room. That doesn't work out that well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And some people want to lead because they want status. They want to be the top dog, not because they want to serve a cause greater than themselves.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. In our context in particular, in men's work, when you're leading a group, for it to be successful long-term, I feel like it has to come from that place. Mm-hmm. It has to come from a place of, for the group, in service of, whether it's in service of those men individually or some greater cause attached to it, like men's work or helping men or whatever it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, if you have a structure where the men are allowed to actually be honest, including with the leader, you're going to get called out if you're there just for your status, just because you want to be the king or something, Yeah. That's one of the things I love about our structure is the honesty between the men and the lack of like power dynamics.
That comes from structure. Like I would say that, like if you just put a bunch of people in a room and there was a bit of like competition, like, you guys figure out who the leader is, there would be a power struggle. There'd be an ego battle, very likely, especially if there's stronger personalities there. Mm-hmm. And so having structure where it's already obvious or already determined who the leader is, it kind of can help you skip through some of that, kind of ego conflict and wrestling for power, which can be very destructive. Like a group would totally collapse if that went on for too long. Yeah.
I have heard stories of old men's weekends where all the guys showed up. This did not happen in Arka, but all the guys would show up and then there'd be no facilitators in the room and they'd all just be in there for a couple hours, just descending, Yeah, it turns into mayhem. So coming back to leadership, and really like your work, let's go into your work as a teacher. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming you're a teacher because that means something to you and it's not just a job for you. You chose that career for a reason, and I'd love to hear why that is and dig into it a little bit with you. Mm. And tell us, also like, who do you teach?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my path to teaching, I actually came out of like a place of feeling lost, believe it or not. Originally, I was a chef. I worked as a chef for my early 20s and quickly realized that's not what I wanted to do. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't know what I did want to do at all.
You liked making food, but you didn't like the environment of being a chef. What was it?
Anyone who's a chef will probably laugh because they know, but anyone who's not a chef, I think sometimes there can be like a glorified idea of what a chef is, or like celebrity chef. They make so much money. No. Nobody's making, very few people are making lots of money. Yeah. And most chefs are working extremely hard with a lot of passion, and not getting paid very much. They're usually working when everyone else is vacationing or having fun or hanging out with their friends. So I would say for those who are really passionate, it's a worthwhile sacrifice and they love it regardless. And for me, that was not the case. I loved cooking, but I didn't love cooking in restaurants. I didn't love that sacrifice.
Right.
I valued more having time to see my friends, see my siblings, and hang out, have a more balanced lifestyle, which wasn't going to happen. So it's pretty clear. And then the journey after I had made that decision, I actually started serving a cause. I didn't know what to do, so I just started volunteering. And I knew I'd do it around food. So I volunteered for an organization here in Vancouver that worked with elementary school children and teaching them about food and how to cook. It's called Project Chef. And the woman who started that, Barb Finley, she was also a chef for decades. And she was also a high school teacher. And after she'd finished her teaching career, she started that organization. So she very much was kind of the inspiration for me to see a path in education. And in fact, I'd say she pushed me or nudged me in that direction. And so it came out of working and volunteering with her. I finally decided to go back to university at, I think it was around 25, 26, which felt like a big decision because, being a mature student on campus or having like the daunting 4 or 5 years ahead of you just felt like a long slog.
Yeah, no doubt.
But as soon as I had in my mind that that's what I wanted to do, I was like, it was great. Yeah, I did an undergraduate degree in food science and nutrition. Yeah.
What turned the corner for you where you were like, oh, this lights me up? Like, what did you experience there with her and that organization that changed your view or lit you up?
I think it was seeing her passion. That was part of it. And then when I was working with elementary school children. And so when I got an opportunity to lead, like she pushed me to teach something, and basically she was like at the head of the classroom and she'd be leading most of it, but she gave me an opportunity to lead every now and again. And I really enjoyed it. I loved it. And more than anything, I loved seeing the light bulb go off in a kid's head of like, oh, an aha moment, or just like really enjoying what we were doing. So it felt meaningful. And I could see myself doing that. Yeah. So that was kind of like the aha moment.
Gotcha. So you went to school and then
did the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I became a teacher. And very much wanted to rebel against the norms. I think I kind of came into it wanting to really do it differently. In most of North America, it's called home economics.
Yeah.
It's an elective in high school. And so it's optional, but also for the most part, I'd say it was pretty looked down on in terms of like, it was a very easy class. You didn't really learn a lot, but it was a fun place to go make cookies and have muffins and pancakes and kind of like hang out.
That would be how I saw it. And yeah, it looking back, the word home economics doesn't make a lot of sense.
There's a history there.
It's like about teaching girls how to like deal with a grocery bill.
That's actually where it came out of. So I believe men were doing woodworking and something else, and women were doing sewing and cooking. And so it was basically to turn someone into a homemaker, make a good wife in the traditional old school sense.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Of course, times have changed. And I wanted to change that too. So my vision was to actually teach basic culinary skills to high school kids so that they had the foundation to feed themselves nutritious food and enjoy food when they're moving out of their home, when they're going to college for the rest of their life. But also to spark something in their mind, a joy or love for food and cooking. And that's still what kind of brings me my joy and my purpose in doing it. I think I'm 7 years in now. So
it's a noble mission, actually, because like knowing what I knew about how to cook when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, when I was about to head into university, knowing what I was eating back then, knowing what most kids, young adults eat at that age, a lot of packaged food, a lot of fast food.
Yeah.
You kind of grow from like being a kid and having mom and or dad make all your food for you to, once you leave the house, maybe as a teenager, at least in my life, it was like, I'm making more of my own foods, but it's all burritos, pizza pops, taquitos, stuff my mom bought at Costco. And I'm putting it in the microwave. And sometimes I'd like make some pierogies. I'd fry up some pierogies, but it was really simple stuff. And then I'm off on my own. And I haven't really built those skills to like fend for myself. Kind of just had to figure it out slowly over the next 10 years, often via the influence of my friends, my other friends who like learned stuff and would share it with me. Yeah. So like you teaching people how to do this, especially before they head out into the world, is like, it's a noble mission, because I eat so much better now that I know how to cook, what the ingredients actually do. I can prepare fresh food, which is more complex than just throwing a taquito in the oven or the microwave.
Yeah. It's funny you call it, when you mention it's like, oh yeah, it's a noble mission. It's like, it doesn't necessarily feel that way exactly with me. It's like, oh yes, or maybe I'm just pushing it back. I'm not sure why. To me, it's like the cooking part. I joke with my students at the beginning of the year. It's like, this is the most important class you're going to take in all of high school. I say that half serious, half joking, because it's the one thing you're going to do every single day for the rest of your life. Everyone has to eat. It's the main way, one of the main ways we connect with each other. We celebrate all these things. It's one of the through lines through all cultures, all languages, is eating. And I was like, well, you're not going to be doing physics. Well, most of you won't be doing physics or math, and none of those things aren't important, but not to the same consistency on the very basic level that food is.
3 times a day. Yeah.
Exactly. But that also brings me to, it's like, well, also like you can survive off other people making you food. You can so it's kind of contrasted. What's more important and kind of more broad about educators and teachers generally is making a difference in kids' lives. So like making an impact. And I'm sure everyone who's listening to this can think of at least one high school teacher, maybe even 2 or 3 if you're lucky, that made an impact on you. And it may not have been the subject matter at all. Like that might not have even mattered at all. In my case, I can think of my high school teacher who was an English teacher. He taught a few other things as well, but English was his main thing. And his English classes bored the living daylights out of me for the most part. But he sparked something in my mind, some curiosity, some light bulb that I will always remember. And then there are also teachers who just, care. Like you felt a sense of care from them too. So there's a lot of ways teachers can impact students, which I argue is far more important than just material, even though material is important.
The impact is real. Yeah, I think everybody has that. There's like 1 or 2 or a handful of teachers that had a strong impact on them. Do you have any in university that had a big impact on you?
Actually, no. Yeah.
Yeah, most of mine were in high school too, but I had one in university that was the history of rock and roll. Nice. 1970s and 1980s history of rock and roll. And it's big amphitheater classroom and this woman at the front taking us through these different bands and how they came on the scene and what was the cultural setup at the time and like what a revolution this sound was. And then she's like playing it on the piano, or she's playing it on the speakers. Like she'd play the music.
You could feel her passion, I'm sure.
She took us on a journey. Like she just loved music. Yeah. She loved music history. And I took in more information and memorized more in that class than in any of my other classes in high school or university, just from her passion, from her love of the subject and her ability to like bring us with her. You know, some people are passionate, but you can't quite connect with their passion in a way. Yeah. You can admire it from afar, right? Like, wow, cool. But then some people will like bring you in to that.
That's true.
Yeah. What was it about that English teacher that his classes were boring?
Extremely.
But what is it about him that has you like remembering him so clearly and the impact?
He would ask really good questions, and he would force us to answer really difficult questions. I think he piqued curiosity in me. He also taught philosophy, which it was a little too dense for my mind at that age. But the basic questions and the basic seeking within the philosophical framework that he taught it really alert, like it drew me in. Like even at that age, answering a difficult question like, what is the meaning of life? And you're like, oh, how do you answer that at the age of 16? Something like as silly as that, but it really impacted me. In fact, that was one thing he did. He got us to write entire class essays, like what is the meaning of life in grade 9, and then got us to do it once a year for all of high school. And he gave them all back to you when you graduated. Oh, wow. So you could see how your thinking changed.
Cool.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
I remember like writing silly things back then. What's the meaning of life? Well, I think my initial answer was happiness, which is not my answer now.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. It sounds like that he is a good teacher. You know, he was provoking like real, deep questions and like deep learning in a mind that was like fledgling, growing, like waiting for big questions like that. Even like, we're always waiting for questions that are kind of bigger than what our mind can grasp, because that's our edge, that's where we're going. Yeah. And, as immature as like 16-year-olds can look and like, oh yeah, they still got 10 years of brain development left. There's still this like existential thing coming online, like I'm going to be an adult soon out in the world. I'm going to have to find my own way in life. Like my parents aren't going to take care of me forever. What am I doing here?
Who am I?
Yeah. How do I deal with all these emotions? Like what is my identity? All that stuff. That's heavy.
Yeah.
And really, like, that is actually a person who's ripe for a spiritual experience. And I've learned that actually 16 years old is one of the most common ages for a person to have their first real sort of spiritual breakthrough, because all that stuff's coming online at the same time. So this teacher is like facilitating it.
He was also really quirky. I think that was part of it. Like he was weird in a very good way. Like
he's very himself.
He was very himself. Yeah. Yeah. He was also highly educated. Like he should not have been teaching in high school. He was a German immigrant who had a PhD. I think he was teaching in universities in Europe, and then when he came to Canada, they wouldn't recognize his degree, so he had to teach high school.
So you're super lucky.
Very.
So, what kind of teacher are you trying to be? Like, what matters to you in terms of like how you show up for your students and maybe even young men? I don't know. You could roll that in there.
Yeah. Honestly, I think in the simplest sense, it's just like make a difference in their lives. And you're not going to relate to every student. You're not going to want to even connect with every student. So it's showing an ethic of care, because ultimately, if you don't care about your students, they will sense that, and then you're not really making as much of a difference. Or you can teach them material, but care, and show that care in whatever way is authentic to you. And that's it. That's really it. Everything else is kind of just a function of that. And so, yeah, I'm teaching about food history and culinary techniques and how to make good food. And I want to do a good job of that. I want to inspire people to enjoy food. But ultimately, I want to help these young adults turn into healthy adults that have self-confidence, that are inspired, that want to go and improve the world. That would be the general purpose that I hold as a teacher.
And you believe that you can help that happen by showing them that you care.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Yeah, I know. Well, you can extrapolate it to parents. If you have parents who don't care, you have teachers who don't care, you have everyone. Well, how do you think that works out for people who are growing up and finding their place in the world? Yeah. That would be hard.
I love how simple it is, though. Like, I love you put it very simply, like care about them. And here's the result. Like, they actually do something with their lives. They actually, become productive, integrated adults.
I think in my classroom, it's actually interesting. Like, I'd say young boys are probably the demographic that are struggling the most in high school right now.
Yeah. What do you see?
Certainly that's what I'm seeing exactly that. For a multitude of reasons. But yeah, they're not in good shape. Of course, there are some boys that are doing fine, but there are a lot of young men who are struggling to find their place, struggling to feel okay, struggling to feel like they can even exist, honestly, like to feel like that they're welcome, to feel like that they have value.
How does that present? Like, what does that look like?
It can present in a ton of ways for young men. It can present as depression, can present as like total rejection of whatever's going on. So like, like someone rejecting, like the outcast, or
rebelliousness.
Rebelliousness. You also see it just like a lack of engagement too.
Checked out.
Yeah. A lot of not believing in yourself, that like very low self-confidence. I see a lot of that.
What do you think boys these days need? And let's just focus on men. Like, what do they need from men like you and me?
I think if anything, I mean, education and teachers is a female-dominated profession. And so in that context, they just need more men. Right. They need more role models. If there aren't men there, they don't really have those role models in those contexts. Especially so if they don't have it at home, if they don't have a present father. But other ways that they can be supported is again, it comes down to caring. So in particular, I can think of in my classes, some of those boys who feel like they're stupid, not smart, or have behavior issues. A lot of them they struggle to focus, all the above. They've been told all sorts of things about how they are. They have a diagnosis, or all the above.
You see a lot of diagnoses?
Yeah, of course. There's growing diagnosis. I mean, our society now is doing a better job of diagnosing, but I would also say over-diagnosing. So I think both hand in hand. And that kind of comes as a double-edged sword, especially if a diagnosis is taken on as an identity or as a permanent thing.
Yeah.
So if someone struggles with anxiety, or someone struggles with depression, or someone struggles with confidence, the most harmful words are, you are dumb. You are. If you make that, or you hold any of those things as your identity, it causes, I would argue, so much harm. And so in any way that you can not fight back, but like kind of counterbalance those things. So instilling confidence, showing them that you care, shows them that, someone cares about you. That means you should start to care about yourself. Well, why would, if they care about me, and maybe I can so show some care to myself as well. They might show you being inspired by something. Like, oh, okay, I find this interesting. I actually feel engaged. So there's lots of ways it can come through. But yeah, and it should be done. It needs to be done.
Yeah, I what I wrote down was like, the biggest thing that boys need is men to be present and to care.
Yeah.
More men, more present, more caring.
Yeah, one of the greatest gifts an older man can give a younger man is attention. And not just like watching, but like you're giving him your energy, your attention, your care, your wisdom, whatever it is you have to offer.
Yeah, while you were talking, I remembered another high school teacher. I went through rehab when I was 15, and I was in there for a year, and they counted that year against me. So I couldn't go back and do like 3 more years of high school. I had spent 6 months in high school, and I went to rehab, and so I had lost basically a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a year and a half to finish. Once I got out, finish all my high school courses. And in the first semester, I registered for these core grade 10 courses. I had failed pure math when I was before rehab, when I was using, and pure math. They had recently done this in at least Alberta, where they split math into applied math and pure math.
Yeah.
And the applied one, you could use your calculator more, and pure, you had to use more formulas. It's like much harder. You had to like really understand like all of the calculations. And of course, I was just missing class and all this stuff. So that's why I failed pure math. So after rehab, I'm trying to catch up. I take applied math 10, and my teacher was this like short, bald, genius math guy with lots of passion. And I don't know how he noticed, but he pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, listen, you can do better than applied math. What do you want to do in your career?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe I want to be an engineer." Like, he's like, "You need pure math." And I was like, "I only have 2 more semesters and I got to get to math 30. And he's like, "If you want, I will meet with you at lunch for the next 8 weeks, and I will tutor you free of charge. And I will create a bridge course for you that I will just take you through at lunchtime. And next semester you can register for pure math 20.
That's I was a good example.
"Okay, I'll do it." And he was just great with me and just walked me through it all, was patient with me trying to figure it out. And that's what happened. I ended up doing pure math 20 and then 30. And I'll never forget his his confidence in me. And he was just sure. He was just sure about me. And I was like, okay, like, when you were describing this, like, okay, he's sure about me. Well, I guess I can be sure about me now.
So often that's all it is.
He's a full grown man, you know, like he must know something.
Someone believes in me, or someone believes in the possibility of me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's important work, man, that you're doing. And I know how many women are in schools right now, and women are very impactful in what they do, and young men really need men.
Yeah.
Because school's not just about like learning the material. You're also growing up in the process. And yeah, people have different situations going on at home. A lot of people have father's not there, or not there at all, or only kind of there, and meanwhile, you spend so many hours at school, and there's these guys that cross young men's paths that can be really impactful. So I agree with you. We need more men in schools. The other piece we were talking about on our way over here to the studio was leadership. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to talk with you a little bit about leadership. It was interesting. You told me that you actually wrote a paper on leadership when you were in high school.
Yeah.
And would love to hear how you saw leadership then. Like, it's kind of cool, kind of a cool case study, because like, I'm not sure how I saw leadership when I was 17. And like how that's grown and changed. And then, maybe second question being, how has your idea of leadership changed since you joined your squad and stepped up?
I went to the Vancouver Waldorf School. So those who know Waldorf education, it came out of Rudolf Steiner's work, and he created an education framework among many other things. And there's thousands of them across the world. Its slogan is balancing head, heart, and hand. So balancing thinking, feeling, and doing. And in the grade 12 year, you do a self-directed project. I think it was a 12,000 word paper, an artistic component, a practical component where you're doing something in society, and then you present it to the community,
Mm-hmm.
and you work on it on top of all the other coursework throughout the year.
Wow.
I think I ended up choosing leadership because I think it was more subconscious. It wasn't like more of a direct choice. I think it came to me.
You just felt drawn to it.
Yeah. And I think because I was a very not confident teenager, I was on the quieter side. I don't feel like I fit into like the jock crowd, the popular. I didn't really feel like I fit into one crowd. And I ended up finding myself in positions of leadership, sort of wondering how I got there.
Yeah, right.
I was captain of the soccer team. I was on student council, like all these different positions. It's like, I think that's part of where the question came from. And
you were like, I need to learn more about this. It's like, I'm here.
Yeah. I think it was also just like a curiosity to look at. It's like, oh, there's lots of different ways you can lead. I had experienced, like, from my soccer coaches growing up, or teachers, or all these different situations where I'd experienced different leaders and people in positions of power, and not only do they feel different, I felt you could like critique or judge them being good or not good. And so I was really excited to spend the year researching styles of leadership, why people follow leaders, power dynamics, and then qualities that exist within what I deemed as good leaders. And it was, I would also say I was a teenager, so I wasn't, if I was critical of myself, I could have done a much better job in the research and writing aspect of it. I was focused on other things, like my girlfriend and sports, but it definitely tickled that part of my brain and that curiosity that's, I think, stuck with me ever since and has continued to be explored in my life.
So when you met me in 2017, what would you say your concept was of leadership at that time? Like what, if I said at that time to you, what does it mean to be a leader?
Yeah. I think I would have framed it, what is it to be a good leader? Because I think there are a lot of, there are a lot of people who lead and have a lot of followers that I do not admire.
Yeah. It's an important distinction.
And they are able to lead effectively, but not in a way that I think is helpful for humanity, or a way that is integral, or maybe it taps into lower levels of human fear or psychology in different ways. So I guess I would rather answer, it's like, oh, the ideal leader, or one that I aspire to be.
Yeah. What is an ideal leader? Yeah.
Be someone of integrity. I also very much appreciate the philosophy or the idea of leading from behind. So again, that's someone who's in service of, rather than taking the spotlight and being like, this is about me and you guys are doing what I say and come along. And
that makes sense. Cause like there's a theme in your life of you ending up leading almost like either by accident or by invitation.
Yes.
Right.
All of them.
Which it includes
this
your
position.
Role as co-director.
Yes.
Where I asked you to join me.
Yes.
As Nick was stepping down.
I'd actually argue I'm learning to also claim and or step in when I feel like I can serve, not just wait to be called, because that's definitely an edge for me. A good leader's themes. Someone who cares about the people they're leading. Man or person of integrity. And I think if you're leading, you have to know where you're going, or what the purpose is. Why are you leading? There's probably more, but I think succinctly those few things. So care, know where you're going or have a purpose, and of integrity.
So what have you learned about leadership in the last few years as you've run like over 200 groups with, like I'm just counting the weeks here, like in 4 years, like
I think I calculated it once. I think it's more than 6,000 hours in the room.
Mm-hmm. So sitting with like a strong group of men with strong will, like really doing things with their lives, leading a circle of men like that. Like, what are some of the ways that you've leveled up, and some of the qualities of real leadership that you've picked up?
I think I've come to understand more of my own style of leadership, which not everyone will always appreciate. I mean, I think most will, but it definitely can come up in moments of friction with people who want more things differently. Yeah. So for example, I'm very much what I would call a flexible, loose leader. Like, I'm very willing to see where we need to go in the moment. Some people feel a lot more safe in a very rigid, structured environment, which is just not me. And I've been in groups or in situations where the leaders are very structured and rigid, and they can also be very great and well run. That's just not how it's not in my own ethos of who I am or how I want to lead. And I think learning to trust that I don't know the answers, but I know if I trust myself, I'll know what to do in those situations. Like, there's been so many moments where I'm sitting in a men's group, I'm like, oh, holy shit. Like, someone just shared like a total bomb, and I'm like, I don't know what to do right now. Like, oh yeah. Like, either there's an argument or someone shared something like incredibly vulnerable or deep or scary or powerful or strong emotion. And those moments, your heart's racing and like you want to get it right. And you just have to trust yourself. And most of the time, when you just trust yourself, and even if you go off script and you do something different, it works out. And more so over time, like the more reps you get, like I can count so many times where it's like I, in the moment, decided to do something that I had no idea existed within me. It was not in my written notes. It was not in my plan. It's not something I'd seen someone else do. And it's just there. I think those experiences built over time just, instill trust in yourself.
That's huge.
Yeah.
You can't really lead from a good place unless you can trust yourself. Yeah. And there's layers to that trust for sure.
Of course. Yeah. I think at the beginning, it's like, do you trust yourself to mess up? Yeah. Yeah. And that's okay. Do you trust yourself to mess up and then that be okay? Great. So then there's the next level. Yeah. Yeah. Do you trust yourself to be vulnerable with the men you're leading and be honest with them when you actually do mess up, fess to that and vow to be better or make changes or listen to them? There's all those layers to it as well.
Yeah. What I heard you say in trust yourself is like this term that gets mentioned from time to time around getting out of your own way, because we can really get in our own way. And the idea being that like, there's already the right thing to do in that moment is already within you. You already know that. And the only way you're going to miss that is if you're not really listening. Yeah. Right. And you might not be listening because you're in fear. You're worrying about saying the wrong thing. Your heart rate's racing. Totally. You're in fight or flight. You're in survival mode. Or
you think you need to be some other version, or you saw someone do something. Oh, I need to handle this in this way. Yeah. And it comes out clunky and you feel like, what are you doing? Yeah. Like,
meanwhile, you may have had an intuition that the other thing was the right thing to do, but you thought it wouldn't look as good. Or there's so many ways that we get in our own way. So learning, just to like trust, to soothe your own nervous system so that you actually can be present for whatever's happening, and then trust what wants to come through in the moment, and be humble while you're bringing it.
Be humble is a big one. Yeah. As well.
Yeah. 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 We really, like, in Arka, I think we see that every man has the potential to lead in different areas in his life. Not necessarily a squad, but potentially. And
I sure hope everyone's living lives. If they're not leading their own life, I don't know.
Who's going to?
Yeah. Someone will.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that there are ways that we either have given away our power, or that we're getting in our own way. And that's some of the work that we're doing in this brotherhood, is like removing some of those blocks. And sometimes that's me helping you remove that block by pointing it out, being like, hey dude, just FYI, I notice that you hold back in this way and I want more of this from you. And sometimes just that permission from another man is transformational in unlocking something that's been locked up for years.
Yep.
So to come back to your experience in squad, I just kind of want to end there. One of the questions I would like to ask fairly often on this show, maybe not every episode, but this is one of the ones I really love, is it's written on the back of our shirts. Our shirts often say, I've got your back. That's one of the things that we don't throw that around all the time in Arka, but we have an exercise where we practice that, and it's a very important slogan for us. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, when we first do it in a group, like in a squad, and especially in a new group where you don't actually know the guys, it's a bit of, I don't want to say fake it till you make it, but it's a bit of like a declaration, even though it doesn't necessarily, you don't know if it exists in its full form yet. You're saying I've got your back, but you're almost saying like, I will have your back.
You're trying it on. Yeah.
Exactly. But what does it mean when it's actually true? When you're actually living it? Yeah. And here's the through line in the whole interview that we've had today is care. Do you care about the person across from you? Do you care about the people in your group? Because if you care, well, you have their back. If you care when they're having a hard time, or they are really in need of some support, or it could be even something small, they just want a person to talk to, or they need help moving. God, everyone loves helping people move. But you're there.
Yeah.
And it's not without boundaries. It's not without other things, but it's just like showing that you care and you're there for them. And that can manifest in lots of different ways. That could even be just speaking truth. That could be telling some very harsh truths. That could be cheering someone on. That could be celebrating their wins. It could be really just showing up consistently and paying attention and listening to them. It can manifest in lots of different and subtle ways.
Yeah, it's a great answer. I think men in our culture, in general, we aren't really shown that caring for each other, like we're not really shown depth of caring for each other. And it's certainly not reinforced and encouraged. And I think a lot of guys reach their mid-20s with a handful of friends who, if they're lucky, they feel like they do kind of care, you know? And one of the lights that I see switch on for guys in Arka when they join a squad or when they go to a retreat is this like genuine, this mirroring that happens, you know, when you see another man's process and you're like, whoa. A part of that is like, I don't even really know this guy, but I really care about him right now. you know? And again, like this photo behind you or the photo behind me. I was imagining the guys around the fire was behind me, but men like just putting a hand on each other and being like, hey, I'm here for you right now, bro. Like I may not know your whole past. I may not be there 10 years from now, but like in this moment, I actually am truly expressing genuine care for you. And that's a healing force.
It's a choice too. It's like, I think a lot of times people feel like, I don't feel like I care for that person. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
You choose to, or you don't.
It's funny that you say that, because the thing I forgot to say is that I feel like men kind of, as a result of that cultural programming, they forget how to care, or maybe they're just never taught in the first place how to truly care for other boys and other men once they're a man. And we kind of have to learn that.
It's also, I think it's connected to how our societies are structured in cities nowadays too. So many people, but so disconnected. So having small groups, having small communities, one way that you can feel more connected. And if you feel more connected, you care.
Yeah.
Or it's easier to care about a group of people than it is to care about millions of people in a specific way.
Yeah.
Tangible way.
Yeah. And there is there's something about a circle of 10 to 15 guys that feels really natural, really kind of like primal.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hey, here we are, signed up completely on the brotherhood journey. So as some men say, brotherhood is the medicine. So thanks, bro, for doing this with me. Coming on the journey, supporting Arka, supporting the mission. Thank you for sitting with me here doing this interview. Thank you for your work that you're doing with young kids, teens, and particularly the young men that you're impacting just via your curiosity, just via your caring about them. Like, it is a noble mission. It is a noble mission. And yeah, I agree. It's like, it's kind of about food, but it's really about you being there for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks, Ben. I'm excited to do more of this. I'm excited to turn the tables and talk to you, turn the tables and talk to lots of men in our organization, in our community. But thank you.
Yeah. There are so many good stories.
Yeah.
There are so many guys who have been through just some wild stuff and come out with real gold that is going to be shared on this show. And I'm stoked to be a part of it, dude. So.
Me too.
Okay. Should we end this episode the way we wanted to? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Oh.